again. Thank you for making time. I know you're real busy and we miss you. I'm glad to see you coming back on November 12th. Um, I wanted to start by asking you, we know this has been a great monumental year for women in boxing, and it feels fitting that the year is going to be ending with you making your top ranked debut and making this big transition to a new promotional company. I know a lot of people have been speculating it's just about money, but kind of just go into what really made you make this move at this point in your career.
It was no secret that I wanted more money, and we just couldn't come to an agreement with Golden Boy, so that's why we both mutually agreed to just part ways.
Got it. And we know when you're making a move like this, I know you do your due diligence and everything. I'm just wondering, did you do any consultation with Michaela Mayer just to kind of get a feel about how she's been at top rank and all that, just so you knew what you were coming into?
Michaela and I did speak about it, about like my situation with Golden Boy, and she also gave me advice. So it was great that I was able to get advice from another female fighter who was in the same position that I'm in. I've always been a fan of Michaela even before she turned pro. And I've always watched the way her career. I've always watched the way Top Rank moved her career, and the way everything that they put into her, I just always thought it was great. So it was definitely a no-brainer to sign with Top Rank, and I was so excited and happy that they were even interested in signing me. I thought they've done an amazing job with Michaela, and knowing that just made it even easier for me to want to sign with Top Rank.
I see. So let's talk about your opponent, Jazmin Villarino. She's kind of a bull of a fighter, a little bit shorter than you. She jabs a little bit, but when she really seems to like to get inside and throw punches and everything. I wanted to get your evaluation of her style because, usually you're able to like box circles around opponents like that, but we've also seen recently that you can bang inside and put people out that way. So I wanted to get your take on her style from what you've seen so far.
So what I've seen about Jazmin, I've watched a few of her fights, and she was coming forward and trying to fight on the inside, and then her previous fight that she just had, she was boxing and moving more. So I'm not really sure what Jazmin I'm going to get on fight night, whether she's going to be aggressive or try to box and move. So I'm preparing for both. So I'm preparing to either have to use feint and be patient to catch her if she moves away, or I'm also preparing to do different things if she's aggressive, and I will fight her in the inside if I have to, and I know she's going to come to win. She's not coming here just to show up and to make it an easy night for me. So I'm just preparing to be the best version of myself that I can be, and I think that's gonna get me the win for sure.
So we used to hear this a lot on the men's side, this whole thing about, getting your grown man strength. We hear that with younger fighters, like, when he gets a little bit older, he'll have that grown man strength. But I want to get your insight into grown woman strength, because I feel like in recent years, you've been getting a lot more knockdowns, bombing people out. You had the fastest KO in women's history a couple years ago. So we're seeing you punch stronger than ever at this point, even though you're coming down in weight and you're fighting at minimum weight, have you done for your last 2 fights. How have you been able to maintain that power as you've been getting older, but also going down in weight for some of your fights?
I think I've always had that natural power, and I was never able to show it because in the beginning of my career, before I was signed with Golden Boy, I was always fighting outside of my weight class. I was fighting at 112, which wasn't my natural weight class, because I would have to eat all week, and I was still only weighing in at 109. So I've fought girls who were 115, 118 on fight night, and of course with 2-minute rounds and fighting 4 rounds in the beginning of my career, having a knockout like that out of your weight class is kind of impossible. So I was never really able to show that natural strength and power that I have. So once I signed with Golden Boy and I was able to fight girls who were naturally my weight and go to 105 and 108, then I was able to show that power that I do have. So I'm just excited to just continue to show that I have that power, and not only from the orthodox stance, but I show that I have it in both hands, even from the southpaw stance as well. And I definitely feel most comfortable at 105 and 108 because I actually have to try to make that weight. And fighting at 112 and higher, I never really had to try to make the weight.
Got it. Is it a little difficult not to fall in love with your power now? Because we see that happen sometimes when you're getting those knockouts and everything, you kind of start going more towards that style. Has that been difficult to kind of rein it in and make sure you don't go overboard with it?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
No problem. I was saying now that you have that newfound power at your natural weight, has it been difficult not to, I guess, rely on it too much? You know how people can fall in love with their power sometimes and want to get into those exchanges. Is it harder not to do that now, being that it's coming so natural with these knockdowns and knockouts?
You know what? My trainer always makes sure that I do not rely on power. He's the one person that is gonna remind me every day. Like, we still work on the same things. We still prepare every fight as if it's gonna go the distance. You know, I feel like I have to. It would be dumb of me to not and to just rely on the power. If a knockout happens, then it happens, but it has to come off of just instinct and so natural to me. So I think that's the good thing about it, is that my trainer is always making sure that we're training the same way we've always had, no matter what.
Got it. So, you know, with all these big women's fights that we've had this year, we've had a lot of grudge matches, but I feel like you don't get credit because I think you kind of started this when you had the match with Marlen Esparza back in 2019. That's kind of the most recent. Before then, we hadn't gotten a lot of grudge matches, and I feel like that kind of kicked it off as far as showing that that's viable and giving a lot of attention to women's grudge matches and super fights. But now at this second stage of your career, who do you feel can give you that super fight that we've seen this year? Is it Jessica Plata? Is it Yokasta Valle? Do you see anybody between these weight classes that can give you the super fights that we've seen from Clarissa and Michaela Miller and other fighters like that?
Yeah, I think it can be like that with any world champion in my weight division. A lot of people aren't too familiar with the lower weight classes that I'm in because there hasn't been anybody like me to bring that exposure to them. So I'm glad that I'm able to now get these big world title fights with other champions and show people that there's a lot of talent in the smaller weight classes and that we can make big fights in these smaller weight classes as well. And like, as far as the grudge match with Esparza, I thought that was great. But at the same time, I thought that the fight happened way too early. I feel like there wasn't enough of a build-up or anything like that. You know, we didn't make the money that we should have made. And I think now where women's boxing is at, when Esparza and I do fight again, it's going to be 10 times bigger than what it was when we first fought.
Got it. So with layoffs, I know it's difficult for a lot of fighters. You've been nearly 11 months out the ring, but I feel like when you get layoffs, that does give you time to focus on improving yourself just outside of the ring, whether that's more time with family, any other hobbies. Where have you seen the most improvement, let's say in your personal life, away from boxing with this layoff that you were able to focus on?
I think mentally it really strengthened me a lot, and also like you said, I was able to spend a lot of time with family that I'm not really able to do like when I'm consistently training for a fight. So, you know, that was great, but at the same time, the only thing I wanted to do is just get back into the ring. And now having that time off, I felt like all it did was benefit me mentally and physically. Like, I feel physically stronger than I've ever had before. And like you said, the question that you asked that I actually didn't even answer was about like growing into my strength. And I think that has definitely happened. I just feel so much stronger than I've ever felt before. And that's why, you know, having this time off didn't really feel like I lost anything. I actually felt like I gained something, and that's gaining a better version of myself and a stronger version of myself.
Got it. Now, because you're so dominant in your fights, I think a lot of people, we always just assume, oh, it's easy. Even if you went to a decision, you really didn't have any damage. But I feel like every single fight, every single camp, you know, it takes something out of you. You have to have time to recover. So let's say over your last 4 fights, what's the toughest, like, physical thing you endured in the ring that maybe we didn't notice because you were, you know, dominant on the scorecards or knocking them out? What was the toughest thing you went through that we didn't notice?
I would say my second world title fight last year in July against Tenkai Tsunami. That was for the 108-pound WBO title. Because I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't have enough time of knowing when I was gonna fight, which is one thing that I never really had with Golden Boy. Like, they would tell me last minute when I was gonna have a freaking fight. So going into training camp, I had to rush in all of my sparring, and I overtrained for that fight. Like, when I stepped into the ring that night, after the first round, I was exhausted. And on all scorecards, I dominated. But nobody knew that, like, I was thinking to myself after the first round, how am I going to get through this fight? Because my body was just done. And that was because I overtrained. That was the first time I ever felt like that in a fight. So, I mean, I learned from that fight as far as overtraining. Now I know to not do that, and we definitely map out my sparring sessions sparring sessions and training ahead of time, so that way I don't overdo it.
Got it. Now, one thing I think people ignore is that you're really good with insults. Even just a couple hours ago, you had a funny one where you told somebody that their mama's a dick technician. So that was hilarious. I'm going to steal that one from you. I'm just wondering, is that your favorite insult you've given somebody so far online, or do you have another one better than that?
Oh my god. I mean, that one was pretty good. So yeah, this previous one was not bad.
No problem. So let's end on a funny note. I got one last question for you. So we know Halloween is over with, so now we're all focused on the holidays, focused on Christmas. So I'm going to give you a list of people that you could potentially give a Christmas gift to. Don't worry about the budget. Top Rank is handling everything. Just tell me off the top of your head what you think you would give them. So, first person for you, Bob Arum. What would you get him for Christmas?
Bob Arum, what would I give him for Christmas? Oh man, let's see. That's a good one. I would give Bob Arum a nice bottle of wine. I would ask Evan what's his favorite and send him that.
Very good. So next person, Michaela Mayer. What would you get her?
Michaela Mayer. That's a good one. I'd give Michaela let me see. I give Michaela a case of Trulies.
Oh, nice. Okay. Now, being that you're a Cowboys fan, so let's say you can get Dak Prescott something. What would you get him?
If I can get who?
Being that you're a Cowboys fan, Dak Prescott, what would you get him for Christmas if you can get him anything?
If I can get Dak Prescott anything for Christmas, I would get him a new arm.
Okay. All right, so final person, and this is probably your favorite person, Marlen Esparza. If you can get her anything for Christmas, what would you get her?
A slap in the face.
Oh, God, you're a tough woman, Seniesa. Slap in the face for Christmas. All right, so I thank you for your time. We're definitely looking forward to seeing you on November 12th. It's been too long, and best of luck. You know, I'm thinking you're going to be taking over 2023, so we're looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.